I'm wearing my Yuri Prohaska shirt today.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah,
Nice.
it's on the back, the design. It just says full violence on the front.
Brother, the Charles one? Come on, man. Come on,
Are you
dog.
are you so there's like a debate in that page's comments
Hmm?
about designs on the front or back. Like a lot of
Yeah,
people get mad that he puts all these designs on the front
really.
instead of doing it on the back and putting just like full violence on the front
Hmm.
or something. What do you have a side of that debate?
Um, no, I mean I would do either. I feel like with a graphics as good as they do, I would almost want it on the front, you know. But I don't have an issue with either. Maybe they could do like alternates and do one or the other, but I don't know how the sales would go. But I don't have a preference. I don't think.
See, I think I prefer it if you're going off of the looks of it on the back.
And then there's like a logo on the
Yeah,
front
I
or
think a
something.
simple front probably goes a long way.
Hmm.
But I admit that I like having them on the front because then I
Yeah,
can actually look at them.
yeah. Like it for us, it's better. But then like to show it all, I mean, people are gonna see it regardless. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I bought both. Like I'm just
yeah.
a fan of their stuff, so I'd buy. It doesn't matter what side they put it on, but that's just a debate I always see in their comment section.
So that one is just a simple logo on front and the huge graphic on the back.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. That's interesting.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Below Average Joe's MMA show. And we are back from London.
Mm.
We went across the pond, as Dominic likes to say. We had a grand old time.
Mm-hmm.
I like how somebody's going to be watching this. Like, did they actually go to London? No, we did not actually go
We
to
just
London.
flew back this morning. No.
Yeah, right. But it's good to be back here for another recap. Me and Dominic, of course, going to be talking about UFC London, everything and anything that stood out to us, including Tom Aspinall's big comeback win nearly a year from the day that he destroyed his knee.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of news going on this week, Dominic. So
Mm-mm.
it's really going to be just all UFC London talk today, a little Blazin Bets, maybe something for closing statements, but otherwise, Dominic, because the episode is going to be short and sweet and to the point today, I want to ask you if you could travel to
Oh,
one country in the world, what would it be?
wow. That's actually a really interesting question.
Because I will admit that I am not someone that envies being like a world traveler.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm someone that doesn't mind traveling domestically,
Domestically.
but I don't really like get fired up at the idea of going out of the country. How do you feel?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I used to have like the fear of flying was like really bad for me until I finally flew for the first time and realized like, okay, this isn't too bad and it's actually much more convenient than driving a bazillion hours depending on where you're going. So I feel like I would do a little bit better now. But international travel is, you're going over the oceans and all that stuff. Like it's way different than obviously just going throughout the country. But if I had to pick one, I think I would do Italy. Mom's side of the family is Italian from Italy, so I feel like that would make sense for me to do that and see that. Obviously, it's old, it's historical. You have the Colosseum and stuff, so I can even have a little bit of combat action in there during a visit. And I love trying pizza, so I think that would be a really cool spot. I guess if I had to pick one on the spot like that, would be Italy. Do you have even aside the envy or not lack thereof of international travel, what would you have to do if you had to pick one place?
Well, first off, how many times while you're in Italy are you saying the gabagool? Where's my
Oh,
gabagool?
oh, it's every day, all day, every day. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
would be bad.
Oof. The country that I would travel to if I had to pick, England is an interesting choice.
Hmm.
I do kind of like the idea, especially London. Like
Yeah,
the idea of going there for like a fight card,
of
I'll
course.
admit is interesting. But then there's a lot of because that's probably the real reason why I would travel internationally, be something fight related. I feel
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Um, how about this one, Japan? I like the idea
Japan.
of
I've
going to
heard that's
Japan.
a top-notch location
Yeah,
for a vacation. Yeah.
rich history in all combat sports, even pro wrestling, Dominic, and
Yeah.
I think that would just be very cool. I've heard of some really cool just restaurants and stuff that
That's what I've heard.
imagine
Food.
like there's like a restaurant I heard about that's like imagine the Hard Rock Cafe but for combat sports.
Oh, you're talking to me here. Okay.
Yeah, so that's something that is in Japan apparently. A lot of memorabilia, a lot of like
Nice.
pictures of fighters and wrestlers and stuff on the walls. So yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. I just don't really like. I'm sure if I went somewhere, I'm sure it'd be great.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just never really. I've been to Canada, and then that's
True.
it.
Same. Yep.
Yeah, I've
Yep.
been straight across the border to Windsor, Canada, which
Yeah, I've heard those stories.
for a single night, and I just don't really have the. There's a lot of bad. There's just a lot of bad out there. Like I feel
Yeah.
pretty good. I feel pretty good over here in the United States. I'm not trying to go, and I'm not even talking about like people or the government. I'm talking like, a place like Australia sounds great until you realize that they have all these fucking abomination wildlife.
The
that'll
spiders are
kill
this
you.
big.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. I'm not even talking about like
No.
the people of these
No,
countries
no,
or the
no.
governments. I'm talking like wildlife and bugs.
You're gonna be
and
boxing a
shit.
kangaroo.
I will admit, I'm a puss, dude. I am
Hey,
not
no,
trying.
I would agree. Yeah.
I ain't trying to like wake up and see a spider the size of a puppy like at my
That is
door.
me. We are the same.
It'd probably just be all furry and stuff. Ugh.
Oh,
Yeah,
stick to the Everglades.
everywhere, every street you walk to, there probably has something like that shit you found in your pool last
yeah,
summer.
yeah.
Just some abomination. Ugh.
Ugh.
Anyways, with that, Dominic, we will move into UFC London talk. But first, want to quickly plug. Now is the best time for you guys to expand your horizons, if you will, and follow us on all platforms. That'd be great.
Oh yeah.
Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow us on Spotify, on Apple, your audio platform of choice. Make sure you follow the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at the BAJ MMA. We do have content change coming up, mostly in how we deliver the same content.
Yeah.
So we'll be utilizing all platforms from here, from starting kind of mid-August maybe. So we'll let you know when that starts, but be sure to be prepared and go ahead and follow us everywhere so you don't miss anything. And with that, Dominic, I think we're ready to get into UFC London.
Yes, sir.
So your main event, Tom Aspinall, nearly a year from the day in the same arena that in just 15 seconds his knee gave out against Curtis Blades, a deflating ending to that second London card in the post-COVID era. And he comes back here against Marcin Tybura. A heavy favorite was Tom Aspinall.
Yeah.
But maybe some slight questions as would there be some tentativeness? Would Tybura be able to last just a little bit longer than a lot of people thought, and maybe test some things about Aspinall we don't really know yet, cardio, fight IQ in the later rounds, etc. Did not find any of that out, Dominic, because Tom Aspinall had a magical performance here. He came back and somehow looked better than the man who left a year ago. He hurt Tybura with everything he threw. I feel like that first head kick that Tybura like kind of caught but still landed a little bit, I think that had him like immediately on the defensive. Like you saw, Tybura is usually not the guy that's swinging wildly like he was here. But as soon as Aspinall came out and threw that head kick, I think Tybura just deep down knew that this was not going to go the way he had envisioned. And it only took Tom a minute and 13 seconds, dropped him with the straight right, a nice combination at the end of that, and follow up with a few ground and pound shots, and that was it. So Tom Aspinall, the hero in front of this crowd, this was not a night that had a ton of huge moments for that crowd to really get into.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the crowd a little bit later, but um, obviously a massive win for him. He was sort of the selling point of this card. And Dominic, I kind of want to get your evaluation of Tom Aspinall now. He called afterwards he said he'll be sitting front row for UFC
Yep.
Paris, where Sergey Spivak will be taking on Cyril Gane. He
Hmm.
said he's going to beat the winner of that fight, and then he's going to beat John Jones. I'm curious if that two-fight, pathway is really the path that you think is due for Tom Aspinall.
I think that he could easily get that path if the UFC's on board with that plan, and I don't see why they wouldn't be on board. I think him versus the winner of Gane and Spivak makes perfect sense. The only other guy that's kind of floating around out there that people are talking about is Pavlovich, obviously. So he's still out there as well. So I guess worst case scenario, I feel like Tom could fight Pavlovich and probably wouldn't bat an eye. He would probably take that fight as well. So either way, regardless of if you go left, you go right, he's going to get one more fight. If he wins, he's going to be fighting for a title. Then you add the John Jones part in. I think that's where it gets a little bit more interesting because maybe John Jones is or is not retired at that point. John did acknowledge Tom last night. He tweeted at him and said, "Sounds good,
He
LOL."
knows
Which
who he
is,
is.
yeah. So we shall see if John is there. He's talked about retirement. Obviously, he's fighting Stipe in November in New York, in his home state. If he goes out on top there, could retire. If not, it's weird how you want to, view John. And right now, does he have true, genuine interest in fighting the Aspinalls and the Pavloviches or the Spivaks? Like, I don't see it for him or Stipe, to be quite truthful. I've said on here on Verbal Sparring that I feel like the winner of that fight, really both guys might just reel off into the sunset in November. But the pathway that Tom laid out makes sense. I think the UFC will allow that path to come to fruition. And I just selfishly want to see Aspinall versus Cyril Gane ever so badly. Not that Spivak can't beat Cyril Gane, but I just think in terms of high level, like striking for heavyweights that move so gingerly on their feet, that is a very beautiful matchup. But yes, Tom Aspinall is back in a big way, maybe better than ever, Noah. Do you like his plan? He's been a guy that's done this his whole career in the UFC. He's laid out how he wants to do it, and now it seems he's closest that he's ever been. Is that the plan? Is that the path?
They move around gingerly. What are they limping around the octagon, Dominic? I mean, what
They float.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're light on their feet. Okay, I
Yeah.
got you. I got you. Um, I like the plan for sure. I think that makes sense to have him fight the winner of Gane Spivak. The things do get a little fuzzy with the uncertainty of
Mm-hmm.
our heavyweight title uh, individual, the person holding the
Yeah.
champion, because following November, we don't really know if we'll have a defending champion.
Yeah.
Depending on how soon we find that out, like if John Jones were to win and then retire immediately after, or even if Stipe were to win and
Mm-hmm.
retire immediately after, that could make things clear because I think right now Pavlovich is waiting it out.
Yeah.
You got it. Jailton Almeida headlining early November against Curtis Blades.
Yep.
Then you'll have Spivak and Gane in September, and
Mm-hmm.
then obviously Aspinall just fought, so he's sort of waiting it out right now too. So I think in an ideal world, Dominic, if John Jones is truly leaving or Stipe, if they win, then they sort of vacate immediately after the
Yeah.
fight,
Yeah.
and then you do a vacant title fight, and you could do Pavlovich and Almeida,
Yeah.
or you could put Aspinall in there if you felt like Almeida needed another fight. Or I think
Mm-hmm.
Pavlovich is the clear number one in this
He should
scenario
be.
right
Yeah.
now. But yeah, to Aspinall, this was huge for him. I think that cannot be understated. I think it's pretty clear this guy's special.
Yeah.
I cannot go as far to say like it's going to be a given that he will be a heavyweight champion. I know Dominic, you've made that call before, but I think with the guy, I think this heavyweight division is in such an exciting spot right
It
now.
is. It
I know a
is.
lot of people aren't so high on the John Jones Stipe fight. I, for one, am very excited for it. and it's a legacy fight, and then we kind of move on from that into that next generation where you
Mm-hmm.
have Pavlovich, Almeida. I mean, Gon, I still think could have some life if he gets a
I
big
know.
victory in
Yeah.
Paris, and then of course Tom Aspinall. So it's very exciting right now, and even I'll give Spivak some credit. Like that guy, the polar bear, he's really came kind of
Mm-hmm.
back. He's injected some life into his career that
Yep.
a lot of people maybe didn't think he would have, and it's a good spot to be in. For Aspinall to have a whole country behind him is
Yes.
massive. And we've never seen like a heavyweight prospect of this caliber from this region of the world, really. Like
No.
from and Michael's Bisping even said on the broadcast that Aspinall, in his opinion, was the most special prospect to ever come from
Yeah.
Europe or England or any of that, or probably more so England. But
Mm-hmm.
he might be right. Like this guy, for what he's able to do as a heavyweight, it's special.
He moves like
So
a middleweight. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
It's
um,
exciting.
yeah. But with that, Dominic, we will move on into the rest of UFC London. Start with the crowd on this one, Dominic.
Yeah.
Just flat.
A bit unlike London, you know?
Well, I think it's pretty clear why. I mean, it's not the London people who let us down here. It's a mixture of factors, right? High ticket prices, low quality card.
Mm-hmm.
People spoke with their wallets. There was a lot
Mm-hmm.
of empty seats. I mean, when that first fight of the night, when Philo and Perez were about to fight Dominic, it looked like we were in the apex.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
was bad.
And that's not what we've seen these past 3
Yeah.
events over there.
And sure, it filled out by the time Paul Craig and Andre Muniz were fighting, but man, just the UFC tried one too many times with the O2 in London. I think that's pretty clear. And
Mm-hmm.
the problem is like this card could have had that energy, but they just didn't have the fights, the people to
Yeah.
make that happen.
Yeah.
They tried to sell you a Apex card in London, and it didn't work out this time. And I think I maybe have said before, like, well, they could take some of those cards in the Apex and put them anywhere, and they'd sell out and all this stuff. But you're going back to somewhere that you've been. This is now 4 times in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Once you are hitting somewhere that frequently,
Yeah.
there's an expectation of if we're going to keep opening our wallets,
Yeah.
there's going to be
Yes.
some quality that we need to get from that. And this one just was the lowest quality card out of all of them. And truthfully, this is a great example. I saw Caposa tweeted this that it's probably a good thing that one of these cards that wasn't great on paper actually didn't deliver. So that way we could stop with the whole, oh, these are the type of cards that always end up delivering in the octagon. Like we need to address the problem. And
Yeah.
that's that these fight nights are just um, not great quality. I know me and you kind of had some fights we were excited for on here. It's definitely not the card that's like it's not the biggest culprit in this.
Yeah.
I mean, look at last week, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this card's way better than that, but it is a problem, and the UFC need to kind of wake up, in my opinion, and realize that that's even if it's not a problem for them yet. If they really try to push these type of cards onto whatever locations they go to, people are going to speak with their wallets. And
Mm-hmm.
if they want to throw all those in the Apex, eventually people are going to speak with the television remote and they ain't going
Yeah.
to want.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I saw someone put on Twitter there were like thousands of tickets up for resale as of like yesterday morning, even on fight day. And that's something we've not really seen in a long time because it feel like when the UFC hit back on the road, they were hitting all these records and selling out of the arenas. But yeah, I think that was the perfect point. It's one thing you take this card and put it in somewhere that hasn't had a fight in forever, it probably does well in terms of like a gate. But you do it here where you've been doing, you have had all these major events with really stacked cards 3 times in a year and a half. And I think that is the very like prominent factor here and why there was such a lack thereof type crowd. I think that's the point, the perfect point.
Yeah, because we know how good the London crowd can be.
Yeah.
So they are not at fault here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame them. Obviously, me and you are the type of guys where it's like whenever they come to somewhere near us, we're going. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
But I don't blame people for not wanting to spend that much money to just go see a UFC event. Like there needs to be something on there for them to
Mm-hmm.
be invested in.
Yes.
But now on to the fights. The co-main event will start with Dominic. Julija Stoliarenko gets the first round armbar submission victory over Molly McCann. We knew the story coming in. Molly McCann, a little over a 2-1 favorite. She was needing a bounce back win after that pretty one-sided loss to Erin Blanchfield back in November. A lot of people felt like Molly was being fed a can here. Julija Stoliarenko 1-5 in the UFC, someone who likely with a loss would be cut, being put in a co-main spot here against Molly McCann. And this is exactly what I thought could happen, Dominic.
Sure.
Molly McCann is just not that good on the ground. And it showed against Blanchfield, even if she showed a lot of heart and a lot of toughness to try to fight out of some of those submissions. She found herself unable to get out of that. And then here, she completely just gets caught in an armbar against someone who is literally known for their armbar, someone who did the same thing that Jessica Rose Clark.
Mm-hmm.
And she just didn't seem to know how to get out of there. And Julia is just way too lethal in that area to really allow her to do so. So I knew this was a possibility. That's why I kind of avoided actually betting either side of this fight. I thought there was some value either way.
Yeah.
Like I didn't love the idea of putting Molly McCann on like a parlay, but
Yeah.
I would not have blamed anybody who would have took Stoliarenko here at like a plus 170 or whatever she was, just because, I mean, she had that clear advantage. It's just I also could have foreseen Molly McCann coming out here and one punch KOing her. Like
Yeah.
she has that ability, and it just didn't happen. So it made for an intriguing fight. It didn't never really get to a point where it was like, oh, this is a great fight, like I thought it could. But a big win for Stoliarenko, Dominic, and another devastating loss for Molly McCann.
Yeah, this is a really, really devastating loss because, yeah, she had all that shine and lost in Madison Square Garden, but that was against Erin Blanchfield, and look where she's at now, on the borderline of fighting for a title. But this one is a loss to someone who, like Noah said, was 1-5 in the UFC, on the verge of being cut, and it happened in the co-main event and in London. That's a very, very deep cut as compared to that Erin Blanchfield loss. And so that part, it's a shame for Molly, but you can't look away at what she at least got to accomplish last year with that big push that she got with those 2 huge finishes. But now it's like a comeback down to earth moment for her and probably for the fans. So I do wonder how she'll handle this, especially like mentally. I'd imagine there's a pretty big toll here. But for the winner here in Stoliarenko, she probably earned herself another contract and a few more fights in the UFC. So, where there's agony, there's thrill. The thrill and the agony here is what this was. And she got to do it on a big platform. Would she normally be in a co-main event? And will she ever be in a co-main event again? No, probably not. But she got to do it one time, and she capitalized on it and got a huge finish. So you say what you will about, her and her career. She did what she had to do, and now she's got a few more fights down the line. And who knows? Maybe she'll get a couple more big submissions.
Okay, well said. I mean, I guess for Molly, Dominic, I think there's a question here of how many more losses can she take before
Yeah,
the UFC consider moving on from her. I mean, I think that's
sure.
a real. She's 6-5, I think, now in her career.
Hmm.
Like she's an okay fighter, but if she were to lose again against someone even lower or at the same level, you know, if you're the UFC, do you consider cutting someone like that, or do you keep her around strictly for
When you
you
go to
know
London
the
or
pop for
yeah.
an England crowd?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that is a very realistic thing we're going to have to start looking at here for her career. And, again, yeah, the Erin Blanchfield fight was way too much of a jump, but this was like a very significant march backward, and she still showed glaring weaknesses and lost. So, like, what do you even do here? You can't really go much lower in terms of competition. So the fights aren't going to get easier for her to win. So that's a very good point you have to bring up as the organization continues to view her. How do they want to use her? Do they only keep her for London cards? Are they going to put her on like a Apex Fight Night prelim? Like, doesn't it seem weird that that's where she could end up when it doesn't feel like she should? Like, I don't know how they're going to view her and value her now.
Yeah, it's quite a fall from grace, nonetheless. Because Dominic, if she would have beat Aaron Blanchfield in MSG, she probably was fighting for a title.
Yeah, literally, it would have been.
And she went from losing to Blanchfield to fighting probably the last fighter. Like, if you were to rank every fighter on that in that division, probably the one who was dead last, just based off of the record and whatnot.
Right. 100%.
And she lost again. Like, she went from fighting a future champion to the last person on the roster. Like, that's a crazy, and that's just crazy that the UFC kind of did that. I mean, it seemed like it kind of made sense for Molly to sort of get that up. I mean, she was calling for big fights at that time, but bit off more than she could chew.
Very much so.
Where do you want to go next on this card, Dom?
Welcome to middleweight, Mr. Paul Craig. You and
insert the clip.
You are sporting the traditional Scottish kilt. What is under? Yes, please.
You want to see? It's my.
Your kibbles and bits.
It's my cock.
No.
Wow. Fight was pretty fun. As I expected. Egg on my face. I'll talk about it in Blazin Bets though, because I'm really upset at myself.
Hey, you called it. You called it.
Yeah, I'm a fucking idiot. But Paul Craig is here. He looked lean, real good. Said the weight cut went good. He didn't look drained throughout the week and the weigh-ins and stuff. And he was, I mean, Andre Muniz is pretty thick for a middleweight, so he looked a little bit bigger. But Paul Craig, 6'4", down at middleweight, is going to be very interesting to follow along. He just beat a number 14 ranked guy, so he's going to be top 15 on Tuesday. Again, I don't know. Maybe he has more longevity down at 185. He's like 34, 35, though, so cutting that weight that late into your career is very interesting, but he seemed to do it good here. It didn't come easy, but it wasn't all too challenging as well. Like, he had good moments, and then he was able to get on top. His jiu-jitsu was able to counter Muniz, and they had very good grappling transitions. He hung in better than I expected on the feet, even because I favored Muniz heavily there. And then he gets a TKO win on the ground. I mean, this is a pretty good debut for your new weight class, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, elbows out the ass here for Paul Craig.
He wouldn't stop.
Yeah, I mean, typically this is a guy you see every face-off, and he's got this intensity, and he had it in the octagon here in the pre-fight where Bruce is announcing the names, and they're like an inch from each other.
Yeah.
But Dominic, I'm refusing to get hyped up for Paul Craig at middleweight. I'm not doing it.
He's going to hit us with the come down, isn't he?
Because next fight, he's going to come out with that same intensity, and then he's going to like pull guard in 10 seconds.
Yeah. I know, man.
And I'm just like, I love Paul Craig. I really do. Like, I think he's so fun, and he seems like a great personality and a great guy for the sport. And he's capable of doing some really great things, especially on his back. You know, that's something at that weight, you know, especially 205, but even 185 is not that common to be like so apt at and so talented off your back and being able to find submissions from there. So in this new weight class, I will say I think the top of the heap at this weight class versus the top at light heavyweight, I feel like Paul Craig has better matchups for him at 185. I do believe that. You know, I think the idea of him fighting some of those guys at 205 pounds at the top of the division was not great for him. And here at 185, like, I'm not necessarily talking about like Izzy or a Diakese or whatever, but I mean, like, I could see Paul Craig having a good fight with like Sean Strickland.
Sure. Yeah.
Or him having a good fight with even a guy like Marvin Vettori. Like, I'm not saying he wins, but I'm saying I think that there is a style contrast to the point where Paul Craig would be in that fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see his call out?
Who did he call out? I didn't.
Mr. Bo Nickel.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
You know, if he's calling for that, and I don't, because we want Bo to like take a step up. So do I view this as like, I don't know. It's I don't know how.
I mean, they're
they would
definitely
want to
not. They're
approach
not
this.
doing. They're not doing.
Well, yeah,
that
they
fight.
likely aren't doing it, but I don't mind the call out. I feel like it's still like Bo would probably still win that fight. I would have to imagine, but it at least intrigues me a lot. It would be a good enough step up that I would like to see him be tested with some guy that's been ranked at light heavyweight, now ranked at middleweight. Like that says something. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It's not going to happen, but I'm here for it. I'm honestly surprised he called that out, but Bo Nickel more name value than fighting like a number 13 ranked middleweight at this point as
I'm
well.
not surprised at all that he called him
Yeah.
out. I think that makes a lot of sense for him to do. I mean, again, is he going to be favored to win that fight? No. But again, you're talking about Bo Nickel, who, yes, he did show it with the hands against a debutant.
Yep.
But what is his A1 skill? It's his wrestling. And
Yep.
Paul Craig is exceptional off his back. So you have something.
There's something. Yes.
There's something there. Is that the way it goes? Probably not. But that's why you find out. That's why you book the fights, because Bo Nickel is still just all hype. He looks great. Unproven. And that's not, I'm not saying that to like say, oh, we shouldn't be hyped about him. I mean, I believe this guy could be a future title challenger.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it is unproven. I mean, he's yet to fight anybody really. So I'm ready to get to that point. Like, I'm ready to get to the tough matchups. Like where we're at
I know
now
you said
with like a Ian Gary Machado. Like I said I wouldn't mind it if his next fight was against Sean Strickland. Like I said, I think that's a great fight. But I understand that the UFC may want to slow play it.
Yeah, you think that's the thing. Like, we want this type of matchup even would be fun, but it's just the realistic possibility of it happening. You just don't lean very heavy.
I think there is a 0% chance that fight happens. I think it's likely he probably ends up fighting someone like Tresean Gore again.
Yeah, rerun that or something. Yeah,
which I mean is a good fight. I'm excited for Tresean. Like, I'd be excited for that fight. I mean, Tresean Gore would probably lose, but a guy who seems at least somewhat UFC caliber. So
maybe down the road.
I'm fun. Yeah, maybe, and then maybe not, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's fair. What do you got? What's next after Mr. Paul Craig? It was an interesting card. Like, there were some finishes. That's a
good way of saying this card kind of bored me. I was pretty bored. I'm not gonna lie.
Most of the fights that went the distance were not great.
Can I say something too? I know you're a fan of the brunch cards, Dom.
Mm-hmm.
I think I realized after this one that I don't like it.
I think if I had to pick my favorite of all the options we've been given, after now having multiple times to experience them, I think 4 p.m. prelim, 7 p.m. main is my favorite. I think.
See, I think no.
You just like traditional night cards.
I like 6 or 6:30 or 7 or whatever,
and
10. I mean, because that time that you're talking about, what I don't like about it is that cuts. I mean, if you tried to make plans to do dinner with anybody I mean, yes, you can make like an event out of it, right? A watch party, whatever. But you can do that even with the night cards. But dude, these brunch cards, I had a hard time, and I saw a lot of people tweeting about this. I had a hard time like being invested.
I saw even Aaron Bronstetter said
that. It was
during the Jai
It did not feel like. It just didn't feel like it didn't have that energy.
Yeah, I saw people talking about how they were like more easily distracted.
The way the crowd was feeling, that's how I felt watching this card. And it didn't help that the card just didn't really deliver.
Yeah.
To be frank. But I mean the moment where that settled for me, where I was like, I just don't think these early cards are for me, was the Ziam Herbert fight. That was oh my sweet Jesus, that fight was bad. And it hurts too because I live bet it, and it's like, why did I even do that?
Makes it even worse. Yeah.
I was trying to get myself invested in it. I fully admit, like, I only bet in it because I was like, my eyes were starting to close. Like,
you're like, I just need to feel something.
I was sitting in a chair and my eyes were like getting real heavy, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna fall asleep. I've never had that with the fight. This fight did it for me, where I was like, I had to get up and stretch and move around.
Slap your face, throw water on.
What fight do I want to talk about? Joel Alvarez, once again, getting a big finish against Marc Diakese. I mean, it's tough the way
Yeah.
happened. I think
Yeah.
there's a good chance that could get overturned
That was a bad
because
one.
there was no review in London. Diakese might have some grounds there with that headbutt that kind of set up everything. But this was a really fun fight between two just very interesting guys in this division. I mean, it just shows how stacked lightweight is that neither of these guys feel like they're in the top 15 mix, but are both very talented. Diakese's well-rounded, used to be a very flashy striker, and then you've seen him like in the fight with Slava Claus and stuff. He's like wrestling his way to a victory. Joel Alvarez that guy is just all action.
What an outlier.
100% finishing rate.
Yeah.
Before this fight, he had 0% takedown defense. He did stuff one takedown that set up the Bravo choke here. So now he has an 11% takedown defense in his UFC career, which is what kind of went into my same game parlay on this
That was
fight.
a brilliant same game parlay.
Yeah, worked out. But no, that fight I thought was a lot of fun. I hate the way it ended, but I thought I'd give both those guys a shout. Who got fight of the night on this card?
I think it was Parsons and Roberts. That was
okay. That's where I was going to go next. Was Parsons Roberts? I thought was. I just thought it was. I mean, it was just great. Like, and I knew Johnny Parsons was going to bring something here because Danny Roberts is a veteran for sure. Done the dance with a lot of fighters. Been in the UFC a long time. A little weathered because of that. He's had his bouts. Johnny Parsons actually was going into this event. Let me think.
I think I know what you're going to reference.
Yeah, that's what Aaron Bronstetter was tweeting about.
Like the longest signed fighter to yet make his debut.
Yeah, because he had gotten signed off the Contender Series back in 2021, and I remembered his fight, Dominic, because he fought Solomon Renfro. And if you'll remember, I was pissed that Solomon Renfro did not get a contract. I thought he had won that fight. And then Dana, was all about giving losers contracts that season, but did not give him one. But Johnny Parsons, it was a really good fight between Parsons and Renfro. So I thought Johnny Parsons would be an interesting matchup here. The size advantage for Danny Roberts was definitely something. But Parsons gets a big TKO win in his debut. Called for Paddy Pimblett afterwards. And Dominic, I mean, what's Bisping doing in there? Why did Bisping's no sell that so bad? Like, I know Parsons was a little awkward on the mic. Like, he's definitely not a natural talker. But come on, man. Like, just like why did he no sold the fuck out?
There was no reaction anywhere. Bisping didn't really acknowledge it. They didn't talk about it on commentary. In the arena, who would be heavily favored to love Paddy, didn't even react or boo it. It was the most
the problem is there was 10 people in the crowd.
Yeah, and nobody there. True, but it was so awkward.
But when he said it, it's one all you gotta say, Bisping, is just wow, that'd be a great fight or something. But it's like he wanted to take the piss out of it. He's just he just went okay, and then kept going. I was like, what the hell was that? I'm like, that was kind of fucked up.
It was weird.
Come on, man. Bisping had another moment like that. Like in the main event, Aspinall's like, give me that mic, give me the mic.
And he held on.
And he held on to it. I'm like, I know they're told.
You could see Tom be like, oh, okay, he's going to keep it.
I'm pretty sure they're told to do that. Like, I'm pretty sure they're told not to just go with the mic because Rogan's had that a few times before. But I was like, Bisping just doing a little too much on this card. You go back to his home area and all of a sudden he thinks he owns the place.
I know, right? Gosh.
What other fights on here, Dominic? What else?
I just want to give a quick touch on Lerone Murphy because I think it's time to start talking about what we're going to do with this guy because
you got to go top 15. You got to go top 15.
You have to now. He's 32. It's the prime time, but the almost end of the prime time. It depends on these athletes. We talk about it all the time. But he's undefeated, 13-0. He has a draw in the UFC, and ever since then, he's won 5 straight fights. And this was probably his best all-around performance against a guy that I feel like not a lot of people know how good he is in Josh Culibao. He was on a tear coming into this fight. We talked about his last huge win that he had. And you have to do top 15 for Lerone Murphy next, heading this market for this weight class. And I mean, let's just look at featherweight here.
Can I throw out a name?
Please do.
So I'm going to admit who I'm about to throw out is not in the top 15.
Of course.
But-
That's fine, though.
But like, who cares about rankings? Like, this is a big enough name in that range to where if he wins, then I would push him into like the
It's
top
just
10,
as
in my
good.
opinion.
Yeah.
And here's why I'm picking this name. This fight with Culibao had moments where it seemed like it was about to turn into like a scrap, like a truly proper, just like kind of war.
Yeah.
But then they both cooler heads would prevail, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? Like, we were kind of building to it, like someone would get rocked, but then immediately they clinch up and
Yeah.
kind of bring it back down.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, like Murphy's getting tagged a few times here, but ultimately, I mean, he won every round. Like, he looked great, especially round 3.
He had some big moments. Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, who's someone that could like force him over that edge to where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're in a scrap now.
Yeah.
Nate Landwehr would be the guy to bring that
Oh,
scrap
yeah.
out of
That's
him.
good, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
good.
So
That's
not a
just as
top
good as
15
fighting
guy,
top
but that's
15.
better than fighting like, I don't know, whoever is ranked 15th or 14th.
Yeah. I mean, the dude just fought Dan Ige, so it might as well
Yeah.
just be a top 15.
And
like
I think that would really show like how Lerone can do when it's not under his circumstances. You know, he's a guy that likes to control the pace of a fight and almost slow it down at times. I mean, he's been in some fun fights. The Douglas Silva De Andrade fight was really good back in the day, but going up against a spark plug, that is Nate Landwehr, Nate the Train.
He's going
I
to make
think
it up.
it's a fight that you have to favor Lerone in, but you're going to learn a lot about him when he's going up against that guy.
Yeah, that's perfect. I'm here. Sign me up. I'm with you on that petition.
Anywhere else you want to go on this card before we move on?
I think that's it for me. Was just hitting Murphy real quick and what we
Ketlen
thought about it.
Vieira looked pretty good.
She dominated, dude. I mean, she
until
didn't
the
like,
third round. She lost the third
got
round.
flipped. Yeah, but
she feels like someone who's right there. You know, she lost to Raquel Pennington, but you know, she's probably a win away from being able to say, "Hey, I deserve to be in this title mix as well."
yeah, people aren't gonna like remember that fight, but it was. You said it on Friday. It was still important. It was 4 versus 7, a vacant title in your division. A win does do a lot for you.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do with her next.
I also will just because we don't have a lot to talk about today, I'll just give a couple more shouts here. Chris Duncan, Yanal Ashmouz, I thought was a great fight. Chris Duncan looked great.
He's very much more composed. And it's showing. It's showing.
Yeah. Our opening bout, Jafel Filo, who of course made his debut on short notice against Mohayev and had that nasty knee bar in like the third round. He nearly got finished here with some body shots by
nasty.
Daniel Barres, but he was able to come back, man. That was a really fun 3 minutes in that fight to kind of start your card off. Seemed like we were really heading to something there. And, just didn't happen that way. But with that, Dominic, I think we will move on to Blazin Bets. Look, it had to happen this way, Dominic. I forgive, but I don't forget.
Yeah. It was in the cards.
I had to smother you into the dirt, 6 feet deep.
Yeah.
I extend my lead to 3, 7-4.
Yeah.
Dominic
Big win.
He's starting to be able to taste that blazing sauce in his mouth for sure.
Or lack thereof. Even.
Yeah, really. So Dominic, do you want to go over kind of your bets and what happened? And
I'm going to talk shit about myself real quick, if you don't mind, because there were 2 things. This is just, I need to learn from this week. This is what this week is for me. I have to learn from my mistakes. When I am feeling something or it's in my gut, bet it. Do it. Because what do they always say? Go with your gut. There were 2 things specifically all week long, and I even put the one out on Twitter, what happened on Friday's show. 28 combined career submissions for Muniz and Craig, yet they'd only been submitted 1 time apiece, but had always been knocked out in a lot of their other losses. And I literally said, I feel like someone's going to get knocked out. I end up betting the fight to be won by submission at -125. If I'm not mistaken, I could have bet on FanDuel fight to end by knockout at like +300. And I didn't do it. Even though I said on the show that that's where I was leaning. And I totally not only talked myself out of it, but bet the other thing. I pay for it and lose. Then the second thing, I'm at dinner Friday night talking about the fights with some people, and I'm saying Molly McCann and Stoliarenko. I feel like if you're going to bet this fight, because I'm not huge on Molly at minus 200, but I feel like you either do her to win by knockout, it was like plus 175, or if you really want to bet the fight at all, I feel like the only way you should do it is Stoliarenko by submission, because that's her only chance of winning, and Molly's been submitted a ton. It was plus like 360, I think, and I didn't. Not only did I not bet it, then I fucking impulse bet for really no reason, because I don't even think I could have beat no anyway. I just wanted to get some wins at ending the week. I bet Molly at minus 180 by knockout or decision, and that loses. So those are the two huge things that I'm just so frustrated and mad at myself for, and I have to learn from this week before I get fucking down 4, 5, 6 straight and I can't come back any further. I have to learn, if I feel it in my gut, do it. Do it, man. If it loses, it loses. But you went with it, and it would have hit twice here with huge plus odds, and I didn't do it. So I'm very pissed off. Noah's back up 3. It's very hard to win 3 straight weeks in this competition with the way I'm betting, especially this year. So I have to make a switch now before it gets too late, and then the wings are going to come, and I can't be having it. And you, not only did Noah win, by the way, this was like the largest margin, I think, of victory. This was over 3 units of a swing here. I went minus 1.72 on the day with like 9 total bets. So I'm frustrated. I got to bounce back. I got to recompose. I got to bring it in. We're heading to Salt Lake City, Utah. And Josh Peck said, nothing bad ever happens in Utah, Noah.
But something bad will happen in Utah, and that's that I'm going to destroy you again.
I can't let it happen.
I
can't.
What's funny is, though, like, okay, I had a good week. I went positive 2.28 units. It's good because the last couple weeks, last week was a disaster. I would rather have lost every bet than what happened last week.
Yeah.
And Dominic is to blame. But we've moved on. Like I said, I'm a man who forgives.
Right.
And we won't say this.
You had to pummel me first this week.
Yeah. Like, it feels good to get the win, but I will admit, my usual tape study, it's so weird to say it like that, but usually I watch a lot of the people on the cards fights to try to figure out the style differences, not just go off of reading a Wikipedia page. Because Dominic, you can see a fight and go, oh, that person beat this person by decision. That's cool. But then you watch the fight and you go, they didn't win this fight. Like, they look bad.
Or how did it happen? How did it get there?
You see like a submission and then it turns out like maybe it was kind of a fluky thing. I don't know. There's a lot of nuances to really watching the fight.
Yes.
And everybody out there is going to be like, duh. But I mean, I think there's a lot of people who bet on this sport that don't do their homework.
And you have to. It's the hardest sport to bet on. You have to.
Yeah. I mean, even when you do, you still are likely.
Yeah, exactly.
You're at a deficit because, I mean, it's just such a hard sport to anything can happen, right? But even though I did have a good week, I went in blind this week, truthfully. Like, I didn't have the time to do it. I kind of changed up some of my strategy. I went for a few different bets. I did the prop things of the double method by victory. Overall, I mean, it's hard to say if it really worked or not. It does make me feel dumb with the Paul Craig Muniz one because I took Muniz in the double method. I took him to win by KO TKO. As I saw Craig land in those elbows, I'm yelling, Muniz, roll over, roll on your back.
Yeah.
Like, please. But yeah, like, I definitely think I'm still going to retool this a little bit. I want to throw some more darts, like some of those high value, but taking people to win by certain rounds and stuff, like exact round of victory, like that kind of stuff. A lot of people do that, and if you just hit 1 or 2, like, you have a big positive for the week. So I want to implement a little more of that because I think the way I've just been going, Dominic, and I mean, this is probably the same for you. We have these little pot, like plus 2.28 units is cool. But then next week I'll go minus 3 units, and then it's just like,
you like broke even for 2 weeks essentially.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's I'm only putting a few bets, and I've been trying to be better about doing plus value. But on here, like, my highest bet, I did a live bet of plus 180. and then I had a 2 unit on a minus 165. Like, if I lose 1 or 2, Dominic, it's hard to have like a big positive week.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You know
feel
what
the
I'm
same.
saying?
I want
Like
to,
it's going to require more darts at the board and taking more chances.
more long shots with unit manipulation. I feel like I need to do a better job of, if I really feel confident on a play, go for it, man. Put 2 or 3 units down. Like, if you feel confident about it, and I just haven't done that, and I feel like I could benefit from that as well. Yeah, the unit thing, sizing wise, I think I need to work on the most for
It's the
sure.
story. It's the story of your life, Dom. How long have I been telling you, like, just to be confident with your
Yeah.
opinion? Just say it on the
Mhm.
show. And now it's coming over into the betting side of things. Like,
Yeah, it's bad. Whew, I'm down bad. I gotta fix it. I got 5 months. I got 5 months to fix this shit.
We're on to Salt Lake City. On to Salt Lake City.
Yes,
Like
sir.
Bill Belichick said that one time. On to Cincinnati.
On to Cincinnati.
Well, Dominic, there's only one way to end the show around here, and that's with the little segment we like to call closing statements. The point of the show where me and Dominic can talk about anything and everything, MMA related or not. So, Dominic, anything you would like to present to the audience to start their week off right?
Yeah, I have one. I forgot it on Friday.
You're
Shout out to-
smiling, so this is
Yeah.
I can already imagine this. Is
I know
not
she's
gonna
going to be happy here. My girlfriend Jaden brought me a question. It was for verbal, but I'm like, well, it won't be for a little bit, so I'll just try and bring it up on a closing statement, because sometimes I don't do good with closing statements. I've been doing better, but I forgot on Friday, so I'm going to bring it up today. So Jaden asks, what I don't remember how she necessarily worded it, but who would be a cute MMA couple? So you take a male fighter, you take a female fighter, anybody, it don't even matter. Male, female, it don't matter. Who would be a cute MMA fighter? I had a hard time thinking of one, because I'm like, I don't really know all who is single and who's taken. So I'm just going to take that aside. Let's just say they're single. I would go Brandon Moreno and Alexa Grasso. That would be my cute MMA couple. So.
I first off want to address how much bullshit this is. That when Jaden presents a question like this, you're all about answering it. You're all about presenting it on the show. When I throw a question out there on a verbal a long time ago about a fighter to go on a date with, and Dominic just no sells it and just doesn't talk for like 10 minutes and forces me. He sandbagged me. So I just want to acknowledge the hypocriticalness of this moment, Dominic. I figured Jaden was going to ask what my favorite porn star was, considering your discussion
that might
about
be
it
Friday.
a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But since that is not the question, a cute MMA couple. I'm trying to think of how serious I want to make this answer.
I couldn't think of people, to be honest.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of someone who is not in a relationship. Not that I guess matters. Dominic, Brandon Moreno, Alexa Grasso. You're so
dude. They would be the cutest couple.
Oh my God, Dom!
Both were champions, both from Mexico. Alexa's like soft spoken. Brandon's this goofy guy with Legos. Oh yeah, but Brandon married with a family and children. I get that. Again, I understand.
Me. This is such a funny question. Shout out to Jaden for this question. This is so funny.
It was not as easy as I like.
I just can't believe you gave a serious answer to that question. Moreno and Grasso. Okay. You think Grasso would be okay with the Lego situation? Or you think
I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
But if she steps on him one time, she's like,
then it might be over. Yeah.
Clean this shit up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who do I got? God, man, this is tough. All right, how about let's go with why am I forgetting her name? The Happy Warrior.
Happy Warrior. Roxanne Modafferi?
Yeah, Roxanne Modafferi and Yuri Prohaska.
Oh, I see it. I see it though.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, the samurai warrior. I see it. I'm here for it.
Oh my God.
That's good.
No, it's not.
That's a great answer.
Dominic,
that was out of left field.
high.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that was the point. I was trying to think of the most absurd answer I could give.
Roxanne Modafferi and Yuri Prohaska.
No, that is the worst answer you could give, and that's
the
why I gave
ultimate
it.
MMA power couple.
And I want Yuri with the fucking ponytail at the
Yes.
wedding.
Yes. Oh, and they don't wear tuxes and dresses. They do like the like on your shirt. He's in like the samurai gear. They got to do it.
Get me out of here. My name's Noah Baker. That's Dominic Slee. We are but just two of the below average Joes, and we'll see you guys on Friday.